Hey, how's everybody doing today?
What's up? What's up? How you doing?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Okay, we got Triyo Fitness in the house,
Hey,
Philadelphia.
good vibes.
Ooh,
Uh-huh. You know why they called Triyo Fitness? Because triplets, the Jones Triplets. My cousins from up the street on Wisconsin Avenue.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we go way back to the track
Way
meets.
back.
GDS and St. Albans used to compete against each other. I don't know who I beat, but I beat y'all in one way or the other. I don't know what
You ain't know,
competition
you
it
you
was.
ain't with that championship though.
ooh,
See, what had happened was had a lingering injury back in the
Right,
day.
right.
We don't need to get into all of that.
Exactly. The
That's
details.
we coming up on 10-year anniversaries and whatnot. That's a minute ago. And we also have the lovely CJ Hunter. We call it Yoga with the Redhead.
Jay?
that's right.
So how I want to start this show is just do a real quick check-in with you all. How are you feeling, CJ? You know, your body and your mind and your soul. How's everything going? I know you're out there in the tropical islands, sitting on San Diego, California. You're in a better space than all of us. But how are you actually feeling right now?
I'm great, which a lot of it has to do with physical location sometimes too. But I was very fortunate. This was obviously a really tough year for all of us. But I've been extremely fortunate. So I'm a yoga instructor, but I also teach elementary school in Southeast DC. So I was fortunate enough to have my job throughout the entire pandemic, and still be able to work, which I think allowed me a little bit of peace of mind, or a lot of bit of peace of mind, if I'm being real. Um, but yeah, just feeling blessed and having that opportunity to continue to work and interact with people, even though it was over the computer. I think that was something that really allowed me to be in a better headspace right now too. And then now that the world is opening up, getting that physical and social interaction in person is just really refreshing.
Yeah, that new normal is really a blessing that you're able to
New normal.
keep the new normal, right? We already in it. I know people are still wearing masks, even though they're vaccinated.
Yeah.
Everything is still a little bit topsy-turvy, up and down, especially in DC where we are. Such a
Yeah.
blessing that you're helping out the kids and also the adults and everyone in between with yoga and teaching. You kept both of your jobs. I mean, what you've been doing the last year has been really inspiring. And then we got Triyo Fitness. I mean, these are celebrities. We got celebrities here. We got celebrities on the podcast today, and they've been on Good Morning America, Fox News, and everything in between. I think I even saw a LinkedIn course from you all about training and going to the
I
gym.
don't know, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. It might have been an article that we contributed.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
doing everything. I know I saw it somewhere. How are you all doing? You know, your bodies physically, mentally, body, mind, spirit. You know, what has this summer been like, and also during the pandemic?
how you feeling, Ahmad? I'm on the up and up right now. It was definitely at the beginning of kind of like when the pandemic started and stuff. Um, I was under the impression it wasn't gonna last for too long. Obviously, that was the wrong impression. Um, but it kind of allowed me to kind of just do some introspective work and things of that nature. I started meditating on a regular basis, kind of just getting my mental right, and then really started doing a lot of gratitude exercises, which I think was like just really important. Because things pre-pandemic, things are moving pretty quickly in the sense that I was working in a new studio and things were going great, but I think the pandemic kind of just like pulled everything back, and I started focusing on myself a little bit more. Um, and then now, like a year later, I think things are still going pretty well. It was definitely like an adjustment and definitely a hustle and a grind. And there was definitely points where my mental was definitely down just based off, lack of employment and really just having to hustle and grind to make sure that we were still making ends meet. But these days, I think things are going pretty well. Definitely going back to a sense of normalcy. But there's definitely opportunity that has followed through the pandemic that now I think we've been able to take advantage of. So in terms of mental and physical, everything's like definitely on the up and up. And I think I'm doing pretty well personally.
Hold that thought right there, because you talked a lot about adjustments during the pandemic. Take me back to March 2020. The world pauses,
Yeah.
gyms close. What were the three of you feeling? How did you cope? You all work at different studios, but you run your own brand. Triyo Fitness. Was it up and down? Talk to me about that.
It was a lot of drama. I would say when it first, so first I remember teaching my last class in the studio. And at that point, there would have been like, people were taking more precautions. And honestly, you know, you're watching the news and they're talking about, yeah, there's this like crazy virus they're talking about originating from China, or like originating from Asia. And it was just interesting to watch the news, right? To see them like how they were talking about it. And then it's like, oh yeah, then it spread to like another continent, right? It was just like, yo, the joint's starting to move. That's how they was like portraying it on the news. And then, you know, I'm in my studio like, oh yeah, like that's crazy. On the news, you just watching it, right? All of a sudden, you know, we're talking about, yeah, it made it to like California. I think it was like California first.
Hey, slowly but surely, it was moving right across.
Yo, like from the West Coast to the East Coast. And I was just like, yo, this is getting kind of serious. So then the day the studio is closed, we had started taking like minimal precautions, like not minimal, but just a couple, like, you know, no longer doing like, you know, daps and stuff and like handshakes went out the door and like high fives. Then more like elbows and stuff. Then it was no elbows. Then it was starting to wear a mask. And then they just closed the studio. And I was like, okay, this is starting to get kind of real. And they said it was 2 weeks. It was going to be 2 weeks, right? It's going to be locked down for 2 weeks. Yeah. Ended up coming 2 months. And then, you know, coming into like the second year now, right? And so it was just very, very up and down, like you said. But I would say the biggest thing was losing my primary source of income. So I taught like maybe between 11 and 13 classes a week, right? So I was also doing some personal training, teaching classes. So all the classes stopped immediately. Wow. We were still able to get a little bit of money though, just because like they said, you know, we're gonna keep paying you guys for like X amount of time, like an average of whatever you were making before or something like that. Regardless, they were able to continue to pay us to support us. But then of course, you know, after a couple of weeks, it's like, all right, no money's going into the business. We can't keep paying our trainers, right? Which makes sense. You know, no one's making any money. So then they had to cut that. So then I'm sitting here like, yo, and I mean, them too, but we all got a little bit like, yo, we're not making any money right now, right?
Were you scared?
Yeah,
I'm being for real.
It was drama, like, so you know, it hits them like, yo, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how I'm gonna pay rent. And then I think my whole point is that we stopped making money. At least I did. I stopped making the majority of my money. I couldn't train any of my clients because we're now in a pandemic, so I'm not gonna go see them, right? So I'm not making any money whatsoever except for writing online plans, and that was like a very, 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 very small amount of my money. So I was scared. Yes, short answer, I was scared.
And CJ, when something so scary like that happens to everyone in the world, whether you're in California, Colorado, or in the District of Columbia, how would something like meditating help you take your mind off being in a pandemic?
So for me, I did my yoga teacher training in India like 4 years ago. I went to Rishikesh. I just wanted that authentic experience. And that's not to knock anyone who did it in Florida or New York. That was just I love immersing myself in a culture and really learning. So when I was in India, when I got there, when I started my yoga practice, all I really knew about was the asanas, right? The physical practice, the poses, the downward dog, the headstands, the inversions, you know? And I really was not, I'll say, good at the meditation aspect or even the lifestyle. Like a yogic lifestyle is a thing. And so when I got there, I remember being like sitting in my classes and my guru would sit there and be like, okay, meditation class is an hour. And we're sitting on a wooden ground. And I'm like, there's no way I can sit here for an hour still so, you know, I'm doing like the grandma church peak, like trying to see, is anyone else looking around too? Is anyone budging, moving? But what I learned, the most important thing I learned about meditation is you're not trying to still your mind, right? Unless you are a monk or somebody who is an expert at meditation, right? It's more so you're going to be sitting there, right? You're going to have thoughts that go through your head. If you're a normal person who lives a busy lifestyle, you're going to have thoughts that come into your mind. It's acknowledging them and releasing them instead of keeping them as the focus. Oh, I got to do laundry later. Oh, and I have to do this. Oh, and I have to run that errand. No, I have to do laundry. Okay. And now I'm here again. And I'm present and I'm acknowledging the parts of my body and what I'm feeling in this moment and just staying present, staying grounded. And I think that was something that really benefited me during the pandemic, because with all of these external factors, with all of this fear, with all the unknown, of course your mind is going to wander. Of course your mind is going to scatter, right? Scatterbrain. But just trying to actively remain present in that moment, it just kind of gives you a mini escape and helps you to regulate your body and regulate your mind. Um, so I think that that was the most beneficial part, just kind of escaping the external unknown fear factors and remaining present in that moment and just allowing yourself to be, allowing yourself to kind of feel where you were and acknowledging that and accepting it, right? And knowing that we are ever changing, we are ever growing, but just knowing in that space, in this moment, this is how my body's feeling and that's okay. And then even from there, you can do the work. Well, what do I need to do to get to a space? I'm not okay right now, right? Acknowledging that. What do I need to do to get to a space where I am okay mentally, where I am okay physically? But you can only really understand that when you sit in it and you're not doing 100 things at a time. So just that stillness, the the mental stillness, but the physical stillness. And it doesn't have to be for an hour. It could be for 3 minutes. You know, people work their way up.
Did you see anyone come to you or that you were doing yoga with that needed that mental stillness or needed an escape? Can you tell us about some of the people who you were able to help escape and, you know, get outside of those thoughts, those bad thoughts that they were having?
Yeah, for sure. Well, my students, for one, my kids, because they were just all over the place. And of course, kids hear one thing and it's like the game of telephone. You hear something and then you pass it on, but it's completely wrong by the time it gets around. So like, especially with children, they're half listening to the news, half listening to their parents who don't really know what's going on because no one knew what was going on at the time. So then they're coming to me with outlandish things. So we're talking about mindfulness. So just working through with them. And then one of my really good friends, actually, she is anti-yoga, anti-everything. And it's just because it was always hard for her. She was never good at it. She never really gave herself time to actively try. So there was always a running joke. She would only go to a yoga class if I was teaching it.
So you had to
And
make her a believer.
exactly, that was my job. That was my part of my purpose. So she had difficulty. She would have like mini anxiety attacks and like her heart would start palpitating, whatever. So I remember during the pandemic, I wasn't seeing her as often, but I was going back and forth between New York and DC. I was fortunate enough to be able to travel back home and to DC to see my family. And I remember her calling me one time and saying, listen, can we go to a park? Like, I need you to help me breathe, because really it comes down to your breath, right? Connecting with your breath and remaining present. I'll keep referring back to that. So we went and sat in a park. And so one of my tricks that I learned was when you inhale, let's say you inhale for 4 seconds, right? At your own pace. You count one Mississippi or 1, 2, 3, whatever. You inhale for 4, you release your chest, right? Open it up, shoulders down and back. You hold it for 4. And then the exhale is double. You try to exhale for 8 seconds, and then it just really slows your heart rate and regulates your body. So I told her if that was too much, you could do 3, 3, 6, 2, 2, 4, whatever it is. But for the inhale and the hold, you want to essentially try to double that exhale. And she called me the next week and was just like, this is amazing. Like, it's just a simple thing, but you don't think about, oh, someone teaches me how to breathe. No, it's innate, right? We all know how to breathe. You can't live without breathing. We just breathe on our own, right? We don't think about it. But if you're actively breathing, actively, intentionally, I'll say, if you're intentionally breathing, it's a game changer.
But we all know how to breathe. We all know
Uh,
how to move our bodies. You know, these, like you said, they're second nature to us. But I'm gonna go back to the triplets here. You know, when you see someone who's down in the dumps or who needs some sort of a physical boost in terms of exercising, how do you all help them? How did you all help your clients during the pandemic with moving your bodies and exercising?
So I think the biggest thing for the pandemic was just finding a sense of like routine or consistency. So you're already in a position where you're stressed out, like you might be tired, maybe you're not sleeping, or maybe you're trying to like do extra work to make sure you don't get fired, or like a lot of people got let go, whether or not they were working at home or not. You know, it could have been a service oriented job. Maybe you work at the grocery store, whatever. Like people were all on edge anyway. And so focusing on like getting a personal best or something, like lifting weight or like running a fast time, whatever, like that really wasn't the focus of the training sessions that we were doing. The focus was how can we be consistent and give people a way to release the energy that they can no longer release, whether it's because they don't have a commute anymore or whether they're getting stressed at home, they have cabin fever, whatever. How do we kind of give them something where they can just do something on the regular? And so that's really what the main, I think, the main point of the training sessions we might have been doing, which a lot of them happened outside at this point, because obviously indoors was closed, but outdoors you're still good. So having a sense of consistency, or training over Zoom, having a sense of consistency was the number one thing though, because people just wanted some type of regular routine where they could get out of being in the house or being at the one desk they have in their home or whatever. The commute became wake up in the morning, go to the kitchen, go back to your desk, and then that's it. Like you have so much more energy that you haven't been able to release. You haven't been able to talk to nobody. So it came down to, and I mean, anybody in the industry knows this, like you're almost a therapist for your clients, where you just talk to them. They can, tell you about how terrible things are on their end or whatever. They get to do that release, but then they also have a consistent meeting to release energy, to talk about it, to kind of get their stuff out, and then they can keep going on with the day, the week, whatever. But
I think another point was like
yeah,
structure.
Yeah, the structure, exactly.
Like you can kind of build a schedule around training, or build a schedule around different things in your day. Because I think that was one of the biggest things. People didn't really have any structure to their day, because then people are getting up later, or they're kind of forgetting when to eat, or just like forgetting to eat in the first place, which was huge for people's energy. Like, if you're at home all day and you usually get up and go to the office, you're going to probably grab something before you leave, but you're not leaving. So now you're getting up and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot to have breakfast today. Oh, I forgot to have lunch. Oh, I forgot to have dinner. All of a sudden you're back in bed and you missed all of those sort of like vitamins, nutrients, all those calories that you usually eat and you usually expend. So I think it was huge to be able to be like, all right, I've got my PT session at this time, and now I can schedule out the rest of my day because I've got something that's concrete that isn't really going to move too much. Right? So I thought that was a really big piece, like you said, about the routine, for sure.
So you guys are helping people not only exercise, but you're also becoming life coaches, therapists, schedulers almost. You're juggling a lot of different things during the pandemic, and you're helping others. How'd you help yourselves become more consistent during the pandemic? Because look, your following went from here to here. It just like boom during the pandemic, so what was it for you all that kept you going?
We also needed consistency in the schedule, because after we stopped teaching classes on a regular basis, we literally had nothing to do in the house. Like, and those first 2 weeks we took off. Like we was like as soon as as soon as the studios closed, we needed some type of consistency and structure.
But pause for a second. You said like it was cool, and like
we were
like, I wouldn't say I was relaxed.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could have relaxed during those first 15 days.
We were all thinking that it was only going to last for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in the industry, including myself, I was like, all right, I'm gonna still get paid in like 3 weeks. Like when I go back, I'm good, like whatever. And so I just remember that, like typically the three of us, we don't even watch like Netflix during the week, because we're really kind of focused on what we're doing, and like our schedules are crazy. But that first couple of weeks, it was like, I mean, it could have been just the first week, maybe the first 10 days. But we were like, all right, cool. Like, you know what?
We're just gonna watch, which is cool.
We're gonna hang out.
But like, again, like,
2 weeks.
I just want to say, like, separating, like, I wasn't cooling.
Right.
I wasn't doing work. I was watching Netflix.
Exactly.
But I definitely wasn't relaxed.
Right. That's fair. We needed like consistency in a schedule though. So literally the day everything closed, we and I've been trying to get us on TikTok for like a week, like a couple weeks before. One of my coworkers was like, y'all gotta do TikTok. Y'all would be so good at TikTok. Like you should make a TikTok account. So the day everything closed, we shot our first TikTok video. It was like a Pop Smoke song, and we just dancing to Pop Smoke.
We did.
And we posted on TikTok, and it only got like 10 views. Like it wasn't like it was like a big video or nothing. But during that time, we decided to double down on social media, since we knew that if we couldn't impact people in person, we would have to do it either through both fitness posts and like whatever else we were doing through Instagram or TikTok, whatever. And so we started like posting TikTok videos and really just doubling down on content and everything, which not only was helpful in building our following and brand during the pandemic, but also gave us a real structure. Like literally every day, 12 p.m., it was like, okay, filming. Everyone's up in the living room, whatever. What are we filming today? This workout, that workout, this dance, this TikTok, whatever. We'd film for literally like 2, sometimes 3 hours, and then you go about the rest of your day. But every single day, we literally film videos every single day, and we were posting every single day. And it was really like, became like a really good structure for us, because now we're not leaving the house. We're not training clients as often. So we need something to actually look forward to every single day. And that ended up being social media and filming stuff, which ended up pushing our brand way further than it was going before. And honestly, we kind of relaxed into like a sense of like complacency, because we were now all at these top level studios in Philly. We were doing great. We were getting news recognition, and everything was great. We were like, oh, we're chilling. Like, that's fine.
We made it.
Pandemic hits, and it's like, just kidding. Couldn't let you get too comfortable. Time to keep pushing. So then we really hopped into social media.
It was a reality check.
Yeah, because I was on top of the world. Like I'll say Ahmad was on top.
Yeah, I think it was really like
he still has a good gig. Yeah, like comparatively, I think his is one of the best. Like it's nice. He was feeling himself. Like great classes, popular classes. Like a lot of people turning out. Good money. Like everything was great.
I feel like anybody who watches this is gonna go to his class before y'all too. Y'all better hype yourself up.
We're fabulous.
And we're phenomenal trainers. But I'm just saying, he had a little, his pockets was a little bit fatter than mine, but a time being. But
let's be clear, his skill set isn't any higher than ours, but he did have a good reward for the skill set coming from the business that he happens to work for. but so we really doubled down on social media, and that gave us structure. But then also, we all three of us have like a mindset. And honestly, I couldn't tell you where it comes from. I don't know if it's like the social media accounts we follow or what, but the mindset we have is like, we've gotten this far, we cannot stop now. Like, I couldn't stop if I wanted to. Like, I actually couldn't. Like, I don't think I could quit. I could not quit Triyo Fitness if I wanted to. Like, I'm so invested in it, not only with the time, but I just know that if we keep pushing, we'll get to the level of success that we want. And we're not there yet. But during the pandemic, it was just like, okay, like, we got to keep pushing. Like, yeah, we're tired. Yeah, we're in a pandemic. Yeah, it's like rough. Yeah, like rent is due next month, and pockets is getting thinner and thinner, but we got to keep going. We got to keep pushing. I think just the fact that we're a team already, and there's three of us, there were times where like Malik was like, guys, like there's no money. Like, and then there was times where I was like, guys, we don't have jobs anymore. And then there's times that Khalil was like, yo, this is crazy. So we kind of like, everyone had a little breakdown, but as a team, you hold each other down and you're like, nah, bro, like, we got to keep pushing. So it was actually very helpful that all three of us lived together, because being an entrepreneur in a pandemic, not easy, right? Like it's like, I wanted so badly to have a work from home job, open up my computer, do some spreadsheets and then dip out and make sure I was still making money. But when it comes down to, we had the structure from social media and our brand to really push us through, and then also the support from each other to keep us kind of like in like a sane place. And then when we started to realize that now we were really starting to take advantage of different opportunities in the pandemic, we ended up getting more business and doing more collaborations and brand deals than we've ever done, because there were no longer any, first of all, we had open schedules because we didn't have jobs anymore. But second, there were no longer geographical boundaries to the different gigs and stuff and companies we could work with.
So y'all had clients from everywhere coming to you now because there were no restrictions on who you could train virtually.
California, New York, we were getting, clients sending us DMs and everything. And then we started doing events with like large companies like Accenture, Capital One Bank, like things that we wouldn't have actually done physically in Philly. But now we're doing it on Zoom because everyone wants a Zoom event now. And that was like kind of how we pivoted. And
CJ, you also have a quite large social media following, and I see your posts every day. You break down a certain term, whether it be a yoga term or a physical fitness term, in every post, and you're doing some crazy downward, upward, tripward dog I've seen. I don't even know what you would call it or describe it, but every day it's something different. You stay consistent with that as well. What is the most rewarding part of the content that you put out and that you've put out during the pandemic?
Well, first of all, people recognizing that. So with my captions, like you said, my captions have become a word and then the definition. And sometimes I'll like add like a funny twist to it or whatever. But most of the times I'm also learning myself because I'll be on my phone and I'll start, because most of the words are unfamiliar words or like wild words, right? And so I'll look it up and then I just kind of end up down a rabbit hole, just searching through it. I'm like, didn't know what that meant, didn't know what that meant. Oh, that's cool. And just finding connections. And then being able to connect them to either my poses or just something that's happening in my life. But I think the most rewarding, just the networking and like being able to build connections with people. And like they were saying, because there are no longer restrictions, because there were no more boundaries, everybody rushed to the internet to be able to expand, right? Whether it's business or just personal life. And so just from the new content I've put out, or just from the new content I've put out, I too have come across so many different opportunities that I don't want to say never, but I don't think I would have ever been able to take on if it weren't for the internet and just networking with new people, I mean, connecting with you through social media, right? And we have a bunch of mutual friends, but who knows if we would have connected if it weren't for.
Because I'm out there, let me tell people, I'm out there exercising, doing the yoga, doing everything like that. I'm doing all of that type of stuff. I'm trying at least, you know? So I just want to give myself a little pat on the back there, but you keep going.
We see you. No, but I mean, that was really it. Just the networking and the opportunities that have come from everybody racing to the internet to try to expand. But it's also like, there's that whole saying, collaboration over competition. I really feel like that has grown a lot, right? We see that a lot more. People are coming together, like you guys said, to do events, big events on Zoom, different fitness people who are not in fit. Like I've been to events where things are completely unrelated to fitness, but they bring on a fitness person just to kind of expand and get a bigger audience, right? Just to reach more people. So yeah, networking and opportunities have been pretty great.